Tonight on News 5 Live, the Supreme Court extends the injunction on the payment of the CWU compensation. We'll tell you how that decision affects the Christian Workers Union. Prime Minister Briceño meets with social partners to discuss exorbitant fuel prices. And bus operators. They met today and an ultimatum was given to GOB on fuel costs. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Download the SmartStream app on the Android Play Store and create your account to get access to movies and stream at home or on the go. Prepaid customers can purchase regular data packages or get a discounted rate on a special SmartStream package by dialing 7737. Postpaid customers will be billed monthly. Never miss a movie again with SmartStream.
Digi, the premier name in voice and data, is also the country's leading provider of innovative services and solutions for small business and enterprise. At Digi Business, we offer solutions, tools, and applications to support your business needs. Reduce costs, improve efficiency, and excel in a changing world where no idea is too big and no task is too small. From technology advising to design implementation and management, our team of qualified solution sales and specialists can develop a reliable and robust infrastructure, allowing you to spend more time on what matters most, your business. Visit us online to explore how DigiBusiness innovative products and solutions can help your business reduce costs and improve efficiency.
March is Women's Month, and at Brothers Sabet, we're celebrating our Belizean women and their achievements all month long. Women are too often overlooked in typically male-dominated fields, but we want to celebrate the capable ladies who are breaking the bias across the board. From the women at home tackling their own home improvements to our women builders behind new and exciting projects. We want to recognize your power and thank you for all your contributions to Belize. And as a small token of our appreciation, for the entire month of March, we're offering all women 15% off on all items in store so you can keep breaking glass ceilings with high quality products from Brothers Sabet. It's a great month to be a woman and a great time to come into Brothers Sabet and check us out for all your hardware needs. Happy Women's Month, Belize, and let's continue to break the bias.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, March 16th. I am Sabrina Daly. An injunction barring the Christian Workers Union from dispersing the $1.5 million payout from government of Belize has been extended. This morning, before Justice Lisa Showman, litigants for the Port of Belize Limited and the CWU presented arguments in respect to the disbursement of the compensation provided by the Briceño administration to stevedores 20 years after the port was privatized. Notwithstanding the passage of a supplementary appropriation bill on Tuesday regarding the sum in question, the Supreme Court has decided to keep the injunction in place. Viewers would recall that on the weekend of February 25th, the CWU attempted to proceed with payment to its membership via checks. As a result, its accounts have essentially been frozen until the matter is ventilated in the High Court. This evening, Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith gave a synopsis of what transpired today.
Until the constitutional motion is heard and determined, the injunction over whatever amount of monies remain on the CWU's account is effectively frozen until the matter is determined. There's some further order of the court. This case isn't really about whether persons should get an ex gratia payment or not. Really, what this whole case is about is the manner in which you go about making expenditure of public monies, taxpayers' monies, from the public coffers. As you are aware, quite coincidentally and separately from this case, it so happened that the issue remains in public discourse based on other cases that were involved. So it comes at a very opportune time because, as has been reported on various radio stations, the judgment of former Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin, where he made certain pronouncements in terms of whether you could validate expenditure with supplementary appropriations, some doubt has been thrown into it because of the failure of a perfected order and so on. So the law remains unsettled and it needs to be clarified. Now to your question, you have rightly said supplementary appropriations will pass, more than likely it will go through the Senate on Friday. How come then there is still a challenge? And the answer is this. The judge accepted that there is a live question, a serious question as to whether that supplementary appropriation bill is sufficient to cure the, let's call it the defect in the way the expenditure, the payment was made. Why did she accept that there is a serious question? Because the government says it was an unforeseen and urgent expenditure, and therefore the minister, by special warrant, made the payment. The question, however, arises, from where must that payment come?
While government can in fact make such compensatory payments, Smith argues that constitutionally it has to be done through a contingencies fund and not from the consolidated revenue funds from which the payment was made.
It must come, according to the Constitution, not from the consolidated revenue fund, but from another fund called a contingencies fund. And it appears that the payment did not come from that. Furthermore, even if it was allowed to come from the Consolidated Revenue Fund, it must meet certain requirements under Section 5 of the Finance and Audit Reform Act, which we argued it didn't, and it raised a serious question. But to try to simplify it, because I think it's slightly complex. Yes, a government can, in a legitimate situation of urgent and unforeseen expense, it must be genuinely urgent and genuinely unforeseen, you can, by special warrant, make an expenditure, but it must come from a contingencies fund set up for that purpose, into which monies has been voted for these unforeseen expenses. And then when you spend it out, you have to go back and take the appropriate document appropriation to Parliament to replenish it. The government did set up this contingencies fund last year when it amended the Finance and Audit Reform Act and introduced the contingencies fund, but it appears that no money has been put into it. So put simply, you cannot, the Constitution does not allow you, even if it's urgent and unforeseen, even if it's legitimately urgent and unforeseen, you cannot draw it from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. It has to come from a special fund.
The matter is set to be heard in full on the 10th and 11th of May. According to Smith, the points in the argument being made on behalf of his clients are nothing new.
At this juncture, all we needed to satisfy the court of, since we were seeking an interim as opposed to a permanent injunction or remedy, is that there is a serious question to be looked into. We did not have to resolve it once and for all. That will come at the later stage when the matter comes on for hearing, the full constitutional motion on, I believe it's the 10th and 11th of May. So that's really what happened and why the passage of the appropriation is not enough. Or at this juncture, it was deemed that there is a serious question over it still. These arguments really are not new. These things were litigated in the same case that came before former Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin. The research is not new. It's research that has been used by parties before.
It is the one factor that has caused many a heartache when we go to fill up, or in many cases now, just replenish the fuel we consume in order to move around. It has forced bus operators to threaten a nationwide shutdown if the government does not seek to give some type of relief to the current situation. Before today, the Minister of Transport, Rodwell Ferguson, has been entertaining concerned bus operators, and he notified the media only Tuesday that his CEO had come up with a few options to contemplate. But today, several representatives from the government and the social partners, including the NTUCB, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Council of Churches, the Business Bureau, the bus operators, the network of NGOs, and the agro-productive sector met to discuss what can be done to best address the inflated prices on fuel, exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. Present at the meeting was Senator-elect for the NGOs, Janelle Chanona, who told News 5 it was a constructive meeting, with all parties being part of the solution moving forward.
We know what we're seeing globally on the news out of Europe, inflation on a whole that's been happening, the continuing impact of the COVID pandemic, and the more information and the more conversation we can have nationally, the more we can own the solutions going forward. So the invitation for this meeting was to discuss and to bring to the table targeted measures and recommendations and what each of the memberships that we represent are talking about and suggesting. The membership of the unions, the membership of the business community, the membership of the NGO community, we all look at it from our perspectives, and therefore we may see things or opportunities that may not be immediately evident to everyone else.
Chanona explained just how much of a ripple effect the inflation of fuel prices can have on marine resources particularly. Cutbacks or busted fuel budgets will mean there will no longer be the type of monitoring and patrols that is necessary to man the seas.
From the NGO sector, we have pointed out, and we will be following up with written material to the Prime Minister and his team Friday ahead of their cabinet meeting next week, to highlight, self-evident truths, but just to underscore it, when you look at marine protected area management and the investment of fuel there, I think we're looking at more than 32,000 gallons of fuel, But then immediately you also have to look at the fact that the bulk of their budgets are tied to fixed grants. So if we're not getting access to increased grant funding to mitigate the impact of the rising fuel, then you see immediately where that has an impact. And I think the last thing anybody would want to see is an inability from protected area management, from enforcement agencies, of not being able to help sustainably manage the resources that we're talking about, because we're talking about hundreds of thousands of acres of marine and terrestrial protected areas that are involved. So looking at the importance of that, not just for the resources and the people who depend on them, but also because, as we've seen recently, those resources are also playing a role in our external debt and looking at our financial picture overall. And if we lose the ability to properly manage those and enforce those and safeguard those, then that will have ripple effects elsewhere.
Chanona also highlighted the impact the crippled operational function will have on the fisheries sector. She said that without the full presence of field operation teams, many of our fishing grounds are open to illegal and unregulated fishing from fishers from our neighboring countries. And that will result in further loss in much-needed revenue for Belize. The recommendations from the social partners will be presented to the Prime Minister on Friday. President of the Belize Bus Owners Association, Thomas Shaw, was part of the meeting today with government and social partner representatives. He told News 5 that while the government can put a cap on fuel prices, there will still be a domino effect on inflated prices of goods and services. Notably, News 5 understands that the government did place a 35% cap on the price of diesel last Friday. But the acquisition cost of diesel shot up significantly that same day.
Maybe putting a cap on the fuel, but to say if you're going to put cap on fuel, the Bishop Wright said, well, will there be a cap on inflation in terms of the store as well? So holistically, they're looking at it from both ways. All dimensions, whereas they can see how they can actually reduce the price of fuel. The question was also came up, well, they said, well, Puma was the sole supporter, provider in fuel. So we were asking if could they find another entity, whereas maybe they can find another source where they can bring in fuel or where the fuel would be cheaper. He said, well, the answer to that was, well, nobody really, has the port to bring in the fuel, and Puma was the only provider at the moment. Another thing came up about the B&E, but really and truly they are not in the position to supply the crude. Then in terms of the bus fares and all the rest of it, we'll get a response by Friday.
Okay, but in the interim, Friday, all you will get is a response. From there, you still have time that will lapse before action is taken.
We explained to them that these consultations has been going on ongoing. We tell them, well, we don't want this thing to exceed more than 2 weeks, okay? So definitely they said they understand our position, they know our plight, but they're willing to work along with us.
News 5 spoke with Prime Minister John Briceño following the meeting via phone, and he indicated that the government is open to prudent recommendations that will be beneficial across the board. He indicated that the government did reduce the taxes on diesel last Friday by 35%. However, when we checked with the fuel stations, they said that later that night at midnight, the fuel prices went up. We also checked with Financial Secretary Joe Waite, who explained that the excise tax on diesel was at $2.97 per U.S. gallon. The government reduced the taxes to $1.94 per U.S. gallon last Friday, but the acquisition price still went up by 85 cents per gallon. Wade said that the government of Belize absorbed the majority of the increase, but had to pass on some of the increase to the pump price. Coming up, can GOB collect on over $600 million in outstanding taxes? And the Prime Minister's budget speech highlights growth in various sectors, including banking.
While you cannot prevent accidents from happening, you can take steps to protect yourself from the financial burden that can result from an accident. Our Fungi Life Insurance Personal Accident Plan is the solution for you. With our personal accident plan, you are covered anywhere in the world. This plan pays out a benefit for any dismemberment, as the benefit is paid directly to you. It can also cover the need for medical artificial appliances such as wheelchair, crutches, hearing aid, and prosthetics. In the event life is lost due to an accident, the personal accident plan pays out the insured amount to the beneficiaries. Now, you can live with the confidence that we have you covered. Let the RFNG Life team assist you in planning for your future. Call us today at 221-5143 or visit our website at rfglife.com. RFNG Life Insurance, the life company.
Fires can be both good and bad, but if fires are uncontrolled and unmonitored, they can have severe impacts to the economy, to people's health, livelihood, and property.
Forests give us life, but uncontrolled forest fires are costly and dangerous. Each year, more than 97,000 acres of our forests are destroyed by fires, killing our wildlife and destroying their habitats, wiping out thousands of trees from our timber industry, damaging agricultural crops and our tourism businesses, greatly affecting the livelihood of many Belizeans.
Belize has a fire season that runs between February 15th and June 15th. Now, this is the time when we have an increased incidence of fires. We have an increased incidence of health concerns. We have an increased alert phase for the Forest Department and the Agriculture Department in as far as our response to fires. And this is the time when we're appealing to Belizeans to be wiser in our approach to using fires.
Forest fires can cost us our homes or even our lives, but many forest fires can be prevented.
Be fire-wise. Prevent, prepare, protect.
To learn more, call the Forest Department at 822-1524 or find us on Facebook.
Get ready for fantastic discounts. From now through to September 30th, Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th, only at Venice, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
Towering above us, they give us oxygen and food, tools and shelter, and create some of the most biodiverse habitats on Earth. As the biggest plants on the planet, trees are important for life. In fact, research shows that within minutes of being surrounded by trees, your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows down, and your stress levels plummet. In Belize, we are blessed to have 60% of our national territory under forest cover and nearly half of our national territory safeguarded in the form of protected areas. Protected areas are safe havens that preserve our forests and jungles of Belize from mass destruction and extraction, or as it's known, deforestation. And as Belize's population increases, it's opening a gateway for unsustainable rural land use. Logging and farming also significantly contributes to deforestation. We need healthy forests, as they absorb carbon dioxide and other harmful gases from the atmosphere. So without them, the rate of climate change accelerates and greenhouse gases in the atmosphere increases. Without forests, soil would wash away, leaving behind a barren wasteland where no crops will grow, forcing farmers to move on and repeat this destructive cycle elsewhere. Like kidneys, trees control the flow and use of water by catching rain and slowly releasing it into rivers and streams or into groundwater below, which protects us from flooding. As the heart and lungs of the world, trees power and sustain ecosystems. They offer habitation both above and below the ground to numerous insects and bigger animals alike. By providing food and shelter, Belize's forests and jungles support life and rich biodiversity. Without trees, what will be left of our jewel? We must work together to combat the unsustainable use of land and illegal logging. We encourage you to preserve existing forest ecosystems and to support protected areas. A message from APAMO, the voice of Belize's protected areas.
Prime Minister John Briceño dedicated a portion of his budget presentation on Tuesday to speak on the issue of outstanding uncollected taxes. He noted that the recently established tax collection unit reviewed close to 19,000 accounts that carried arrears of an estimated $640 million in GST, business tax, and income tax. But how much of this can the government go after?
Of these $645 million, only 6%, or $38 million, were assessed within the last 2 years. Less than 20%, or $111 million, were less than 5 years in arrears. Approximately $419 million, or 67%, are non-collectible by law due to the statute of limitations or because they related to the now obsolete sales tax. In addition, preliminary estimates indicate that some $334 million relating to 328,721 land accounts are outstanding. Responsibility for these accounts will be assigned to the Tax Recovery Unit. The unit's tactics will include publishing the names of defaulters, triggering court proceedings, and activating lien and all other actions provided for by the Tax Administration and Procedure Act.
Moses Shine Barrow, the leader of the opposition, believes that government should be able to find creative ways to collect these outstanding taxes, even those that are considered uncollectible under the statute of limitations. Barrow contends that the statute should not protect absconders of tax dollars.
There are creative ways to make it where we can get the money, get people to pay what they owe the Belizean taxpayers.
The boat has not sailed in your view, that is the law.
Again, we have come to this honorable house and presented legislations to remedy problems that did not exist. So with a problem such as this, I believe the entire country would rally behind the government to bring legislation where we can get people to pay what they owe. The statute of limitations should not be used for absconders of tax dollars that are owed to the Belizean people. I would like to state on record, I have never been a minister. I have never worked in the administration per se. The closest I came was as an ambassador of the creative sector, but I was not in cabinet when any of this was happening, so you can't hold me hostage to what the past administration did not do.
Agriculture production contributed to a robust expansion of the sector. The resumption of the exportation of livestock to neighboring countries under the Briceño administration bolstered the sector's revenue, says PM Briceño. Poultry and pork production were also strengthened. Increases were realized in lobster and conch production. According to PM Briceño, for a ministry that was abandoned under the previous administration, Minister Abelardo Mai and his team brought new life to the Ministry of Agriculture.
Output in the primary sector of the economy expanded robustly. This sector grew by 11.2%, with significant contributions from the agriculture and livestock industries and fishing to a lesser extent. Agricultural output soared as banana production rebounded strongly from the wake of Hurricane Nana in September 2020 to a new 7-year high. Sugarcane deliveries to processors in the north and west reached an all-time high with increased investments in new commercial production acreage in the west. Livestock output grew as cattle exports to Mexico and Guatemala doubled after lifting trade sanctions in late 2020. To this day, I still can't understand why the government back then decided to lock down the export of cattle in our neighboring countries. It made absolutely no sense. They were busy weeping and crying for Belize. They said they roll up their sleeves and work. The agriculture sector was abandoned. I mean, in fact, Frank Gapi, then we had that minister, and Godwin Halls, and who else do we have for agriculture? We know everything. Rene Montero. And they did nothing, absolutely nothing, in a few months. Abimai and his team, they have managed to reverse the persistent decline in a sector that was abandoned and stymied under the previous administration.
The service sector also saw significant growth in 2021, largely due to the recommencement of cruise ship calls to Belize, as well as a spike in overnight tourism. All this is the result of a phased reopening of the economy.
The services sector grew by 10.1%, reversing a devastating negative growth of 20.2% in 2020. This spectacular outcome was because of the recovery in the overnight tourism following the opening of the Philip Golson International Airport in mid-2020. Stayover arrivals increased by 58.9% in 2021, generating positive spin-off effects in the tourism and travel-related subsectors. Cruise line services, which started in July 2021, and remember the UDP were criticizing us, honorable member from Pixta, that with the bringing COVID, led to 200,000 cruise passengers coming ashore to visit our destinations. And I must thank our Minister of Tourism, Anthony Mala, and his team at BTB and the Ministry for doing a spectacular job. When the naysayers were saying we can't get it done, Anthony and his team rolled up their sleeves and never thought or cry when I started to work and get the job done.
Belize's international reserves now stand at $830 million. According to PM Briceño, domestic banks also experienced a boom as a result of a sharp upturn in net foreign assets, largely due to a rebound in the tourism industry. There was also an increase in call center receipts and a surge in direct foreign investments. Resurgence in sales at the Corozal Free Zone also was a contributing factor. Domestic banks' liquidity grew to $693 million.
Recall the prediction by the previous Prime Minister when he proclaimed to the nation that he wept for Belize in fear of devaluation. Due mainly, I must say, to him and his government's irresponsible spending plan, which was that they would borrow and borrow and borrow until they could borrow no more. You see, Madam Speaker, there's a huge difference between the incipients of their administration, who had so much and did so little, and our administration, who did so much with so little. Imagine what we could have done for our nation with $1 billion in oil revenues and with what they call the Petro-Caribe Bonanza. $1 billion. You imagine the roads and the streets, honorable member from Cayo South, what we could have done. and help our poor people. The honorable member, where is? No, she's not here. Yeah, I know she's not here. Yes. You know, and what we could have done to strengthen the police and the BDF, the Coast Guard, and probably whatever may have to cut salaries. But $1 billion, and they just bad spend up the money. They were even boasting about what? The Taco Fest that they had in Corozal. By the way, where is he? Where is your former leader of opposition, present leader of the opposition? I mean, I think you should know where your people are there, right? And, yeah, the death in the family. Okay, well, our condolences goes to him. After next week, we don't know if you are still sitting down there or not.
In the 2022 to 2023 budget, the government of Belize intends to spend an estimated $103 million on the Capital 3 program. These are investment funded from external loan grants and resources. A large portion, over 50% of those investments, are earmarked for road infrastructure programs. Additionally, government estimates $80 million in expenditure under Capital 2 expenditures. This is a local program funded by government resources. It includes $24 million for maintenance of highways and rural roads, as well as $1 million for the survey of 8,000 new lots to be distributed this year.
$1.5 million to commence work on the electoral redistricting program. $6 million for the continuation of the constituency development program, which touches all 31 constituencies. $9.2 million to meet our conservation funding commitments under the Blue Bond Debt for Marine Protection Swap program, of which 40% should flow to public sector agencies involved in marine conservation programs. $7 million for COVID-19 response, if this is required. $1 million for survey and mapping of 8,000 new lots to be distributed this year, and a further $12 million under the Land Development Land Acquisition Program. Still the UDP debts, Deputy Prime Minister. $6 million on the social assistance to provide food support for the most vulnerable groups in our population. $24.2 million for maintenance of highways, streets and drains, rural roads and feeder roads. $5 million for the purchase of heavy-duty equipment and vehicles for the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, as this ministry builds its own in-house road construction and rehabilitation unit. Could you believe the hundreds of millions of dollars Ministry of Works spent under the UDP? They have no equipment. They hire a lot of people, you know. And they sit down there at the compound with nothing to do because they have no equipment. And the limit of the equipment that they had was working at a private farm. A private farm where we can't find the person right now.
After the break, a marked increase in the number of students returning to face-to-face instructions. The ministry contemplates the way forward in its phased reopening. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
My name is Natalie and I'm a working mom with 2 small children. Before I got pregnant, There were never any issues about my performance at work. However, when I did get pregnant, the way I was treated made me feel that I wasn't welcome anymore in the workplace. And so I decided to resign for my health and for the health of my baby. By the time my husband and I decided to have a second child, I was working at a company that had policies that accommodate women who are pregnant and nursing mothers. For example, we would get time off to nurse our children. I feel lucky to be working for a company that does not discriminate against pregnant women or nursing mothers. I believe that all women in Belize deserve that right. And at the end of the day, we're all Belizeans and we should all be treated with respect.
This Easter, you can win big with BEL's customer rewards. To qualify, all your residential or social electricity accounts must have no arrears by March 31st, 2022 to get a chance to win one of 10 Easter packages. A winner will be chosen from each service area. Each Easter package includes a 13-feet portable pool with pump, a Coleman portable grill, an Igloo cooler, and a $200 grocery voucher. Remember, to qualify, all electricity accounts must be cleared and prizes will be awarded to the account holder. For more information, call 0800-BEL-CARE or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Win big this Easter with BEL's customer rewards.
Belizeans deserve a fast, dependable, high-quality internet service in their homes for online, virtual classes, and to work from home. It's the new way of life. Diginet is the #1 fiber service that is powering Belize's digital transformation. And now, this reliable fiber service is even more affordable with our new entry plan. For a limited time only, you and your family can enjoy 20 megabits per second of fiber service to your home for only $49 monthly. No more missed classes and interrupted meetings. It's costing you time and money. Diginet is better than cable and better than wireless. Visit a Digistore today to sign up for the best home internet service in Belize. Come see what you've been missing. Same high quality, fast, and reliable fiber service, now at an even lower price. For more information, visit livedigi.com/Diginet. Digi, our national telecom.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
I've always enjoyed the different flavors of my country. Every nook and cranny has its own unique taste.
Our history, rich with culture. We've come so far since our independence. Our flag, rivers, mountains, our people, diverse and strong.
Looking back, I am proud and honored. We must continue to preserve and conserve our culture and country for the next generation.
This is our Belize. Respect it, cherish it, love it.
Bring color to life with Sherwin-Williams paint. Choose from matte, eggshell, semi-gloss, or gloss finishes for your home's interior and exterior use. Also, protect your wooden decks and furnitures with our top-of-the-line varnishes, wood stains, and wood preservatives. We also have primers, masonry, and metal coatings. Sherwin-Williams, available at Design Depot, all in one place.
Do people actually hear from God? Are there really angels and demons? Okay, now that's just unbelievable. In our next series, we're going beyond the Google search and facing the tough questions. It's time to take on the skeptic and eliminate the doubt. From inconceivable to unimaginable, we're talking about the Bible's most unbelievable truths. Every second of this series will be worth your while. Believe it or not.
La Unidad de Energía del Ministerio de Servicios Públicos, Energía, Logística y E-Gobernanza realizarán una encuesta nacional sobre el uso de la energía del 2 de febrero al 20 de mayo de 2022. La encuesta abarcará todos los sectores económicos de Belice y la información recolectada será usada para apoyar políticas energéticas y ayudar a planificar un futuro sostenible para el sector energético de Belice. Si su hogar ha sido seleccionado, un encuestador visitará su casa con una identificación. Las empresas recibirán un cuestionario en línea para completar. En ambos casos, el ministerio solicita su amable colaboración. Esta encuesta está financiada por una subvención del Fondo Mundial para el Medio Ambiente, por medio del Banco Mundial como organismo ejecutor del proyecto, dentro del Proyecto de Resiliencia Energética para la Adaptación al Clima.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include Cath Lab, Adult Intensive Care Unit, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
The government of Belize is collaborating with the Belize Bank to pilot its online payment for services. A release from the government of Belize says GOB, through a competitive bidding process under the project supporting electronic payment solutions, received and evaluated bids from the Belize Bank, National Bank of Belize, Heritage Bank Limited, SpeedNet, Smart, and Digi. Based on final evaluations, the eCash powered by Belize Bank was selected as the first electronic payment solution to pilot online payment for the proceeding of temporary work permit applications within the Labor Department's temporary employment permit system. According to the release, the collaboration aims to provide Belizeans with a safe and secure means of payment that can be rapidly dispersed across multiple channels and introduce significant efficiencies to investors and local entrepreneurs. GOB anticipates that paying with eCash will save time and presents the most secure way to process the payment. GOB says the integration of digital payments builds on government's commitment to achieving its digital transformation by providing efficient end-to-end digital government services. The new service is scheduled to go live at the end of April 2022. Aptus Pi is a low-cost device that allows educators and learners to connect to digital learning platforms and content without the need for grid electricity or internet access. The Ministry of Education recently launched the use of the device in 15 technical and adult and continuing learning centers across the nation. It is the ministry's hope that the Aptus device will be a significant contributor to the connectivity challenges faced by many learning institutions.
It's built as a classroom without walls, okay? It's like a mini computer in a very small device. What it does is it allows you to connect to the device. It allows internet access basically without being online. So with one Aptus device, you can connect up to 30 devices within a certain range. And so you can load on to the Aptus device different sites. So this is really what we are anticipating as an effective solution for schools where internet access is a challenge, for places where, connectivity would be a problem. So you can have an Aptos device placed in a classroom, and then everyone would be able to connect to the device to access whatever has been loaded onto the device. The pilot project is connected. There are few components to it. It's connected also, part of it is Aptos and part of it is Notes Master. Notes Master is a platform which holds learning content, so curriculum. So there's lessons on Notes Master in English and math and various curriculum subjects. And actually Notes Master is international. So when you log on to the Notes Master site, you would be able to access lessons that have been created by Belizean instructors, but you can also access lessons that have been created by instructors across the world. So it's really, it promises to be a really effective solution for a lot of our classrooms where we're having that sort of challenge.
And while the Ministry of Education intends to expand its connectivity initiative to more schools in the future, presently attendance rates are increasing. According to CEO Mahia, more and more students are returning to school on a weekly basis. Schools are now requesting that the Ministry of Education take a next step in the phased reopening.
We have almost 100% of our schools that have returned for the hybrid face-to-face learning. As a matter of fact, we are now starting to get a lot of requests to see whether or not we can begin to boost the coming back. What we've seen over the past few weeks is that attendance has increased.
Because the numbers are going down.
The numbers are going down, and so numbers are going down for COVID and numbers are going up in school. So in the beginning, that January 10th, as you guys know, there was a lot of trepidation, right? We saw people coming back, but there was hesitancy, there was fear. And what we've seen is that the attendance rates have continued to rise. So we're in a school, for example, and this is both rural and urban, we've seen maybe they started off with 50% attendance. We're now looking at 70%. We're pushing 80% now in schools. So we really feel that parents are beginning to become more comfortable. And definitely what we see are lots of happy students. The students are really enjoying being back. The teachers are grateful because the challenge now is addressing the learning loss now that they're back.
And with the return of students, teachers are not trying to assess learning loss. Undoubtedly, students lost valuable learning time at the height of the pandemic. Teachers must now find ways to adjust their learning plans in an effort to play catch-up with their pupils. One way to do this is by administering a diagnostic assessment. CEO Mahia told us about the challenges the ministry is facing in administering this assessment and why parents should not be concerned with the grade their child receives on the test.
We're starting to work on our diagnostic assessments. We can only do the diagnostics with the students who are physically in school. So it's one of the reasons why we're hoping that they all do come back, because it would defeat the point to send home a diagnostic test, right?
Yes.
So we need the students to come back so that the teachers can do the diagnostics. But that work has started. We've done a lot of training already to show teachers how to administer the diagnostic tests, how to mark the tests. The thing about diagnostic testing is that it's really not about the grade that you get at the end. That grade is not like for a parent to use to say, oh, my child passed a test or my child didn't pass a test. The diagnostic test really helps the teachers to understand where the students are so that the teachers can then plan accordingly. So really our mission right now, one of the missions of the ministry, is to help schools and help teachers and parents to understand that we want to be able to do the diagnostic testing. We're not concerned right now about making public pronouncements of grades. You don't need to know. If you're a parent, don't worry about what grade your child got on the diagnostic test. You want your child to take the test and you want the teacher to be able to understand the results of that test, because that's the only way the teacher is going to know how to adjust the learning plans.
House Speaker Valerie Woods announced the completion of the report from the Office of the Speaker, House of Representatives' 13th parliamentary session on Tuesday during a meeting of Parliament. In her introduction of the document, Speaker Woods says, quote, "The purpose is to foster the principle of open Parliament by providing an end-of-year summary report to the members and to the public on the House's accomplishments, challenges, and the recommendations from the Office of the Speaker to allow for greater public engagement and enhance legislative openness," unquote. The House of Representatives met 10 times last year, introduced 62 bills, of which 55 became acts of Parliament. 32 motions were introduced and ratified in the House of Representatives. The Millennium Challenge Corporation, led by Chief Executive Officer Alice Albright, is on a working visit to Belize to discuss a new agreement with the government of Belize. CEO Albright and Prime Minister John Briceño signed an initial agreement earlier today to finance GOB's initial administrative expenses. The provision of up to $750,000 in funding will ensure that the government and MCC have early access to the technical expertise necessary to conduct a rigorous assessment of Belize's economic situation, setting the stage for robust project proposals and facilitating the development of an MCC compact. Just ahead, the mother of Keon Ara speaks out on the acquittal of the two men who were accused of the 2017 murder. Charlene Mai says her worst fear was confirmed, but she still wants justice for her daughter's murder. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
Jackie, let's go for ice cream. And remember, if your mom hear about this, Amy will get her share too. Hey, Jack. How about you and Uncle Jay pair a little game?
No, Uncle, I don't like your games.
Well, that means I'll have to start playing with little Amy then.
No, not Amy. I'll play with you.
That's my baby girl.
Sexual violence against children can cause lifelong harm and suffering, which may often be hidden. Too many survivors of sexual violence are re-victimized, even by the very people who are supposed to love and protect them. The restrictions put into effect during the COVID-19 pandemic made it even more challenging for people to report acts of sexual violence. It is never too late to speak up and to seek help you or a loved one may need. Sexual violence may breed a vicious cycle of domestic violence, and its effects can span generations. Girls who experience sexual violence as children are also at higher risk of staying in situations of domestic violence. Belize will not be safe until its women are safe. Secure Belize.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this smart and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, please. Vaccination saves lives.
Why should you wear your mask? To protect myself. My friends. My family and others. I wear my mask because I love my grandparents. With so many reasons to wear a mask, we continue to advise persons to wear a face mask properly, covering both nose and mouth. Together, we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
A Blackman Eddy family is trying to get justice for the 2017 murder of Kiona Ara. 2 men were charged in connection with the homicide. And while the family was assured that sufficient evidence had been gathered by police to secure a conviction, 5 years later, the accused men have been acquitted of the charge. The ruling has crushed the family, and it seems that the 21-day window during which an appeal could be made expired today. Today, Ara's mother, Charlene Mai, spoke out.
The mother of Kiona Ara is speaking out today after her worst fear was confirmed in late February. Tea Kettle residents Shaylon Santos and Jamie Patnett, who were charged for the March 2017 murder of 18-year-old Ara, were acquitted of the charge in the Belmopan Supreme Court on February 23rd. Charlene Mai says that she has been trying to get an audience with the DPP so that an appeal could be filed.
I am not satisfied with this. I am trying to appeal this case, and I hope for the best, because I am not satisfied. Kiona was my daughter, and they are telling me now that 5 years is the value for my daughter. I've been telling them that I need to appeal this case. I've been to the DPP office. I've been back to the court, Supreme Court. I've been back to the DPP office, and they tell me, she's not there. I need to come in and see her. I said, when can I find her? Oh, she's in Belize City. I went with her to Belize City, and I still can't meet up with her, and I really need to appeal this case.
Back in March of 2017, Ara was viciously murdered inside a house in Belmopan. She was stabbed multiple times to the body and later dumped at a garbage site just outside of Belmopan and set on fire. Mai disclosed information which the media was not privy to. Today, however, she did say that contrary to what is being said, her daughter was a key witness in a case and turned up dead 1 week later. News 5's archives also show that from August of 2020, Mai was worried about getting justice for her daughter. She speaks about evidence not presented before the court and reportedly missing.
From the beginning, I was in that courtroom from the start to the end, and I knew the case was going somewhere where only God can bring it back, because the file they start to go missing. I went back to the police station. I spoke to a high-ranking officer, and I told him, this is what's going on, and this is what's happening. This is what's taking place. He said, Miss Mai, he said, do you trust the police department? I said, yes. He said, well, there's no way those guys can walk. He said, we have strong and solid evidence that can convict those guys. I said, but I was in the courtroom and I heard the new statement is being brought forward. My statement, went missing. My daughter's statement went missing. Like everything is going missing. So I know from the beginning that this case is not going to sit right.
Have you spoken to the police commissioner or anybody from the police, any senior member of the police?
I make several attempts to see him. I cannot see him. I make several calls. I make several texts. Nobody called me from the police department. Nobody answer my call. So I like me against the world right now. So I'm pleading to the public to, as a matter, to please stand up. This is our right. We left too many things go unanswered.
Now, according to the Court of Appeal Act, provision for an appeal is within 21 days following the perfection of the order. That deadline is quickly approaching. So looking ahead, Charlene Mai says that she wants to file a civil suit, but needs help to do so.
I just need the help because then as a mother, a single mother, you only could come up with ideas, but you know you need the support. The attorney, they're ready to take up this challenge, but you know, to even sit and talk with the attorney, it costs money.
Anyone who would like to assist Mai with a legal fund can make a deposit to her La Immaculada Credit Union account number 31758. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
It has been there for decades, offering confidential information services to solve crime. And now Crime Stoppers Belize is embarking on new initiatives and is appealing to the public to use a new app to report crime. Lauren Smith of Crime Stoppers Belize explained to us how the service works.
Crime Stoppers offers this unique opportunity that they can report who the troublemakers are in their neighborhood and who the threats are to Crime Stoppers, and we offer this opportunity where they can report anonymously. You know, through the P3 Tips. I don't know if you have the P3 Tips logo that you could show, but through the P3 Tips app, you download it from either the Play Store or from Apple Store, the App Store. Put it on your phone. You could send pictures, you can send text messages. It's an international app. So you could be in Belize and you have information about a crime that took place in Jamaica or in Miami, and you can send your tip directly to Jamaica or Miami. It's if you're in Belize and you know something that took place in Belmopan or PG or in Belize City, you could send it. It's completely secure. You can't track it, but yet you could communicate with us via this international app. So if we need more information or if you want to send more information afterwards, you can do that through this app.
While it is trying to make solving crime easier, Crime Stoppers gives rewards as incentives, and now it is asking the public for help to keep the reward funds open.
Once an arrest is made, you'll see that we'll put in an arrest on the posters, so you'll see that. Very few people that have genuine information are seeking rewards, but nonetheless, rewards are available for the crimes, and that's based on a scale. So, so we don't issue a lot of rewards, but we do have a lot of cases that are closed based on arrests. But if anybody would like to contribute to the program, we'd be
How can they?
We'd be grateful.
How can they do that?
They could contact us through our Facebook page, Crime Stoppers Belize Facebook page, or our website. We have a website where there's a page for funding that we would accept some funding to.
A group of investors from varying backgrounds and social brackets pooled together to buy an island off the coast of Belize for approximately $180,000 US. But the manner in which they intend to develop the island has created some controversy. The investors say they are using the island to establish a micronation. They say the concept of creating this so-called sovereign state in Belize's waters is fictitious and only meant to be a marketing ploy. But many Belizeans are not yet buying into the idea. The Prime Minister of Belize also holds some strong reservations. News 5's Paul Lopez spoke with the man behind the concept, Marshall Meyer, via Zoom, who sought to clarify what he says are misunderstandings about their true intent. Here's that report.
The story of the Principality of Islandia first made headlines in an article featured on CNN Travel. Since then, the story has seen a lot of traction here in Belize. Many Belizeans, upon hearing of the idea of investors crowdfunding the purchase of an island off the coast of Belize to establish their own nation state, or a micronation, have raised strong objections. The story has even garnered a response from the Prime Minister of Belize, who said this on Tuesday.
There are some stupid people. Next question.
And while those words from the Prime Minister may come off as offensive, Marshall Meyer, the co-founder of Let'sBuyAnIsland.com, the company behind the purchase of Coffee Key, told us via Zoom that he takes no offense.
I'm not offended, personally. I do think there's been a misunderstanding, fundamentally. The idea of that we're actually trying to declare some form of independence is misleading at worst, and at best, and flat out wrong at worst. It's the misunderstanding here, I think, comes from this concept of micronation, which may not be familiar to all people.
A micronation is described as a small area or political entity that claims national sovereignty but is not recognized by other sovereign states. Meyer says this micronation is a fictitious concept with a group of like-minded people whose aim is development.
Yes, the term is micronation, and it is a niche marketing tool, an interesting thing that some people get involved in, but it is not an attempt, and we would never dream of formally trying to separate from any nation, especially one that's been as kind to host us as Belize has been, and with as nice people as Belizean people have been to us.
So you would say that the biggest misunderstanding is that you're trying to separate yourself from Belize as a separate state?
Yeah, I think that is the biggest misunderstanding, and it's absolutely not the case.
Why does it bother you that this is the perception, at least that this is initially being painted or is painted in the minds of Belizeans?
Because I want to be a part of the Belizean, business world. I want to be a part of the Belizean culture. I want to contribute to it, and I don't want it to tear people apart from each other or from us, to feel like we're somehow treating Belize with any form of disrespect, or anyone in Belize, with any form of disrespect. And the exact opposite is true.
Meyer says he agreed to conduct the initial interview with CNN to build some hype around the investment and get people talking. That they did, as their emails are now inundated with requests for information on investment opportunities in Belize. But the global spotlight also came with negative reactions. It's in this fictitious nation state. There is a prince, an elected prince, correct?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a title of prince that we're going with just as part of the tongue-in-cheek aspect of this project. Obviously, they hold no real power.
You also have a prime minister. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Also correct. Yes, but again, it's part of the marketing ploy of the project, and again, is our prime minister. While she's great as a person, she's also a lawyer, and she knows exactly where she stands. There is she's, you know, her duties effectively, if you want to call them that, stay, you know, in the realm of, you know, helping to deal with our investors, you know, answering, you know, media inquiries and things like that.
We also have a national flag.
Yes. So some people will say, you know, they'll point to the fact that we put together a flag, you know, coat of arms, or you know, an anthem. To me, that's a banner, a logo, and a theme song.
Would you recite a portion of the national anthem for us?
I will not, because I actually don't remember any of it.
Aren't you the elected prince?
I was for a time. I gave up my title, if you will, to another one of our investors about a year ago.
So, whether a marketing ploy or a fantasy, Mayor will certainly need to convince Prime Minister John Briceño of his true intentions, if he happens to get a meeting.
We would never allow anybody to have their own country within this country, man. That's a stupid thing. I mean, obviously, if you're stupid enough to go and pay a lot of money to buy a piece of land and that, good for you.
So you've had no...
Obviously, it has absolutely no support from the government, and certainly I don't think, and if it is, it will change it, that the ministry or BTB or anybody in tourism could say, okay, as a marketing strategy, you say, buy an island and have your own country. It's not going to happen.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
Up next, we'll take you on a tour of the Copal Tree Distillery in PG and tell you about an initiative to inspire youth through football in that municipality.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
In these trying times, Smart is here to lessen the burden. Smart's reduced roaming rates save you while traveling. Calls back home are a low 35 cents per minute when visiting Canada, the US, and Mexico, or pay as low as 50 cents for calls when visiting countries in the Caribbean, Central, and South America. For the month of February and March, enjoy an unbelievable low rate of 30 cents per megabyte when roaming with mobile data in Canada, the US, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. Whether you are a business traveler, studying abroad, visiting loved ones, or just traveling for pleasure, Smart's new roaming rates have got you covered. Roaming in China, Europe, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean is as low as the cost of making a local call. It's that low. Smart's roaming coverage continues to grow, so you can also enjoy affordable roaming rates in several destinations across the globe. For more information on rates to other countries, visit our website or call 1090 for more details before you travel. Smart, bringing people together.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Hey guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
The Football Federation of Belize is engaging young people all across the country. In the Toledo district, there is an emphasis on youth empowerment and youth activism through sports, particularly football. Linford Avila is the new sports coordinator for FIFA activities in Punta Gorda, and his ultimate goal for the camp is to inspire youth through football.
We have launched our amateur tournament, which carries on throughout the Sundays, and our first season should carry up to the ending of March. And if you're looking to stop by at the amateur tournaments, the first game usually starts at 10 a.m. on Sundays, and the last game starts at 4 p.m. And in reference to the youths, we have a elite youth competition going on at the moment, and that actually includes male and female U17 athletes and male and female U20 athletes. So for Toledo, we have representation in all the different categories. And in reference to the youth tournaments, we actually have the athletes competing in their zone and out their zone. So as for example, this weekend, Toledo actually is actually playing. They're playing home, but the previous weeks they were actually traveling to Dangriga and traveling to Belmopan to actually play those games. And as you can see, we actually have sports going on for amateurs, for the youths, and we also have grassroots as well. In reference to grassroots, we mostly deal with athletes from ages 6 to 12, and basically the whole idea of it is to actually teach them the basics of football, you know, and to actually have fun whilst doing that.
Kopali, you may have seen their products in 1 or 2 supermarkets across the country, but primarily in the south. That's because Kopali, which is based in the southernmost district of Toledo, produces sustainable rums which are being made in the heart of the rainforest in Punta Gorda. It is described as a certified organic product where sugarcane is processed and the French style of making rum is carried out and bottled into dark and white rum. Byron Waluko Mahia takes us on a tour of the Copal Tree Distillery.
We're using the fresh pressed cane juice. It's a small percentage in the world of rums that is using the fresh pressed cane juice as your raw material. So that for one, and we are the only certified organic rum in Belize. And yeah, great tasting product, environmentally responsible. We do a lot of sustainable initiatives, and it's community-based, community-driven. We actually, our distillery sits on a 3-entity property. So we have 3 entities on site. We have Copal Tree Distillery, Copal Tree Farms, and Copal Tree Lodge. Together, we are the largest employer of Southern Belize. We employ about over 130 local employees. We currently have available 3 products. We have our white rum, which is a blend of both pot still and column still rums. Those are the 2 main types of distillations. That sits at 42%. And it's a beautiful product. It goes very nicely with citrus-based cocktails. We have now, after that, we have our barrel rested. This is our first of our age lined up. We call it barrel rested as opposed to age because it's only about a year in the barrel. All right, so we get some barrel characteristics, some nice barrel notes, barrel influences, but not too much to overpower the cane flavor we get in there. And then finally, we have a third product, our first flavored rum, and a true representative of the Toledo district, or cacao rum, so a chocolate flavor. We're not using any artificial flavoring, no additional sugars or coloring in any of our products. We are still a fairly new product to the Belizean market, and we are getting out there, but certain locations like Placencia, of course, PG, almost any store you go to in PG, you're gonna see Kopali on the shelf. PG actually has some of the better prices in the country. But Placencia, we're over in Hopkins at Fewi Mart, and then Dangriga at the family shopping center. I believe it's one of the big ones there. And then a few locations in Belize City. All the neighbors store countrywide also carries the product.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.